Okay, welcome back. This is the final segment of the watercolor project, Tern Tern Tern. Today I'm going to show you how I'm going to finish this up. It's up to you how, if you like it the way it is, at any point, you stop. It's your painting. But I can get a little carried away, and I know other people like to be a little more detailed in what they do. So I'll kind of set you on that path if that's the way you want to go. One of the things now I'm going to do is start working on some things in the background, and I also want to do shadows on the birds, the final shadows. So I'm going to come up here, I'll bring my, this is how I'm going to finish this up. I'm going to make my shadow color, which is my blue. This is ultramarine blue. Over here, this is my alizarin crimson. That makes a purple. And a little touch of burnt sienna, that just kind of slightly grays it. And then I'll just add some water to it to get a little bit lighter color. Now, if you look at these birds, you'll see that there are some pretty stark shadows in there. I like putting shadows in. It helps to create the form, but you have to follow the way it's going to be. Now, if you need to, take your pencil and lightly draw in where the shadow's going to go, and it follows the bird's shape. So I'll just do this one and then around like that. I probably don't need to do that for myself, but if you need to, you put down the information you need. I'm going to come up with this shadow color. Come around. This is shadow on the side of his head as well. Bring it down. It goes over the bird and down. Going to rinse my brush. And then just on the outside edges of this, I'm just going to I've got the whole brush on the paper. This just softens that edge out a little bit. Rinse my brush, come back in, and just soften that edge. Come back up into his face. So I can kind of pull it as I soften it. A little too much water on my brush, but it's okay. Going to come to this one. He's got it comes down here like that, and then it goes over his chest and then down his front. So remember, he's not a flat bird. This is going over his chest and then down. The shadows have to fall on the thing that they're being cast onto. So I rinse my brush, just take all the excess water off of it, and then just touch that edge just to soften it. It's going over feathers, so it's not going to have a real hard line. Kind of fades out there at the bottom, kind of fades up around here. And this other little guy here, he's got a shadow under his chin right here, and then it comes down and it follows his neck and it goes over his chest and down. So follow the shape that it's falling on. It's not just a straight line. It's following the shape of the bird. That also helps create shapes. Now, if you need to strengthen some shadows, like I'm going to do, like especially underneath the bird here, go up under the wing where it's the darkest, because the wing will have a little bit of light blocking capability, and just bring out some of that shadow. Gives your bird a little more form. Remember, there's feathers here, so you can come in and just pat in the shape of a feather, following the body. This is what you do when you finish up a painting. You find out the things that you want to finish, places where you add more color, places where you add your shadows. Rinsing my brush, kind of bleeding those out. I'm going to come in here, put a little more shadow right here on his belly. Following the shape of the bird. Now the shadows from the bird, there's a little bit you can see off of this one. Most of it, I think, is behind the little ridge there. But you can put some of that right there at the bottom. A little bit more. And I'm going to take a quick break here. And we'll finish this up. You can do this. Even if you're a beginner, take your time. You don't have to paint as fast as I do. Just trying to get a lot of information here. This is just water. Bleed some of that out. A little more paint. Just suggesting a little bit of feathers in there. Okay, I'll be right back and we'll finish this up. Okay, now this is going to be the last part of this project, Turn, Turn, Turn. Like I said, you can do whatever you want to finish this up for yourself. If you like it the way it is, you can stop right now. If you liked it earlier, well, I hope you didn't continue on. What I want to do now is put in some of the debris. This is totally optional. You don't have to do this. I always tell my students that you don't have to do this. I'm just showing you if you want to. So there's all kinds of seaweed and who knows what washed up on the back. So this is my palette. I'm going to take my burnt sienna. I use a lot of burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. So I usually buy that one in bigger tubes than the others. So there's my burnt sienna, back to my ultramarine blue. This time I'm going to put a little bit of, this is sap green into it. Makes it kind of a dark khaki color. A little bit of water. Now in the background it's going to be a little bit lighter than in the foreground. And this is where you can use this darker color to help shape parts of your bird, or to put a little bit of contrast. That contrast will make the birds look whiter. So I'm just going to come in and kind of put a shape here and just kind of create the edge of that bird, that little bit of dark. Contrast is the difference between light and dark. And when you're painting, you want to use that to your advantage. So if you've got a light subject like a bird or a flower or whatever, if you can get some dark around it, then it'll make it look lighter. So I'm using the picture as just a reference right now. I want to soften the edge of this because it's in the background. It's not going to have hard edges in the background. So I'm just softening the edge, except for right there against, oops. Now see, I just made a little boo-boo there. This is just water. Put the water down, lift it, it's gone. Come down here, soften the edge here. Come back to my khaki color. Put in some dark right behind here. Now this is in the back, it kind of slopes down. That's why I'm putting these at an angle. This was, sand and the tide has washed this up. So this area back here kind of slopes a little bit. Just put some stuff in. It doesn't have to be anything. This is just stuff. This doesn't have to be anything other than some, this is a lot of negative space back here. So by putting in just some shapes, picking up a little more paint, just kind of touching and suggesting that it looks like debris of some sort back there. That's all I'm trying to do. That's all I'm doing. I've added a little more burnt sienna, a little more of the sap green to this color. Going to come up here to the foreground and just, I think, put a little more blue in it. Blue will kind of darken it a bit. And less water as well. Burnt sienna, sap green, little blue. And I'm just going to kind of scumble some stuff in here. Sometimes just pick up just the straight burnt sienna with whatever mud is on my brush. Just to create some stuff. And put some around there. Like I had that little lump there. Just turn it into debris. Now I wanted to make sure I showed you how I was going to put the highlights in the eyes. Now this is something you do when you know you absolutely positively are not going to do anything to the bird or the eye again, because I'm going to be damaging the paper. This is an X-Acto knife with a really sharp point, and I'm just going to dig into the paper just like that. Putting that little light in the eye brings a little bit of life. That's all it takes. But only do that if you know that that's what you want to do. I'm going to go back to my dark shadow color and just kind of put some shadows in underneath some of this debris. That settles it down in the sand there. And this is about, all I'm going to do. Like I said, you finish this the way you want to finish it. This becomes, your version of this. I hope you had fun doing this. And if you're a first-time painter, do what you can. Do the best that you can. But remember, you are learning. You can't just come straight out of the gate being a professional or whatever. You've got to learn. So again, I want to thank you for watching. You can go to my blog spot and find the reference material and an equipment list and links on there. Remember to stay safe, check on your neighbors and your family and friends, and most of all, please keep painting, and I hope to see you in class real soon. Thank you for watching.